In October 1969, two children discover the lifeless body of a man in a swamp near a tower while riding their bikes. Overwhelmed by fear, they immediately call for help. Sheriff Jackson and his deputy Joe Perdue arrive right away and identify the deceased as Chase Andrews, the town's finest quarterback. What baffles them is the absence of any footprints belonging to him. As they climb up the tower, they realize that Chase might have fallen from the broken grate. However, Sheriff Jackson remains suspicious about this conclusion. The autopsy report confirms that the death was caused by a sudden impact on the head. However, to hit the back of his head on the beam, he would have needed to fall backward, raising the possibility that he might have been pushed. Moreover, the absence of fingerprints on the tower railing or grates, along with the presence of red fibers on Chase's denim jacket, supports the likelihood of foul play. Later that night, as our two cops sit in a diner, they overhear some townspeople accusing a girl who lives in the marsh, also known as Marsh Girl, of committing Chase's murder. The officers visit Marsh Girl's house. As the door is opened and no one is there, they go inside and find a red beanie, presumably the source of the red fibers they discovered on Chase's jacket. This prompts the officers to search for Marsh Girl, as she is considered a suspect in the murder. After a while, they find Kaya while she is boating on the lake. She tries to escape but eventually gets caught. Despite the prevailing negativity from the public, Tom Milton, a retired lawyer, visits Kaya in her cell with the aim of helping her prove her innocence. However, during the trial, she faces judgment from a jury who only knows her as the Marsh Girl. To aid Kaya in securing her freedom, Tom must disclose her true story to the judges. Initially, Kaya doesn't respond, but before Tom leaves, she opens up about her past, where Kaya has a family and a loving mother who consistently brings a smile to her face. Additionally, she has 4 estranged siblings, with the exception of Jody, who holds a deep affection for her. One day, a local boy named Tate approaches their house while Kaya and her sisters are playing inside their dad's boat. It's here that we discover the extent of Kaya's father's violence. When Tate tries to defend Kaya, he is instead given a warning not to return. Later, the mother, Julienne, cannot bear the torture of her husband and leaves the house, never to return. As she departs, it seems like her siblings follow suit one by one. And one day, even Jody, the one who had always cared for her, has to go. Before departing, Jody tells Kaya that whenever she gets in trouble, run and hide deep in the marsh, far away where the crawdads sing. After a while, she meets Tate again. There's something about him that eases the tightness in her chest. With each passing day, Kaya builds up the courage to ask her father for food, so he brings her to the store where he can only afford to buy grits for their meals. The store owners, Jumpin and Mabel, sense the situation and become increasingly kind to Kaya. Mabel even encourages Kaya to go to school by offering her some clothes and then secretly giving her some free candy. With the clothes given by Mabel, Kaya decides to attend school and goes to town, where she runs into Tom, who directs her toward the school. However, on Kaya's first day, things take a turn for the worse as students mock her for her shabby clothes and unkempt appearance, forcing her to leave and never return to school again. She only finds comfort in boating and her unintentional encounters with Tate. One afternoon, after reading the unexpected letter from Julienne, Clark burns it to ashes, preventing a word of it from reaching Kaya. He tells her that her mother isn't coming back. Heartbroken at losing her last hope of seeing her mother, the little girl saves the ashes of the letter so she can feel her mother's warmth in any way possible. Later that night, Jackson sets his wife's belongings on fire while Kaya watches helplessly from inside. And then, the day comes when Kaya wakes to yet another terrible piece of news. Her father has left her too. The lack of food and other necessities makes it difficult for her to survive for long. Kaya then heads to the lake and collects mussels to sell at Mabel's shop. Jumpin exchanges a few pounds of mussels with her each week, providing essential supplies like food, a matchstick, and a candle. While Jumpin approaches this arrangement with a business mindset, Mabel, on the other hand, feels empathy for the young girl and occasionally offers her clothes and shoes. In the present day, Mabel continues to send Kaya clothes that she wears for her first trial. Chase's family lawyer convinces the jury that Kaya led Chase Andrews to the tower and pushed him to his death. Meanwhile, Tom soothes Kaya and asserts that there's no evidence supporting the claims made by Chase's lawyer. Tom advises Kaya to consider a plea bargain. This means that if she admits to being at the tower that night and having a disagreement with Chase, resulting in a tragic accident, Tom can get her out of prison in as little as 6 years. The idea seems beneficial, but Kaya refuses to say anything that implies guilt. She simply wants to get out of prison. The story now shifts back to 1962, when Kaya, in her more mature years, she frequently spots a man in the woods. She never has the courage to engage in conversation with him. The man leaves her tokens, a feather, some seeds, and a spark plug, along with unreadable letters. When they eventually meet face to face, the man reveals himself as Tate, Kaya's childhood friend. An awkward conversation unfolds, concluding with Tate offering to instruct Kaya in reading and writing. Beginning with the basics like the ABCs and progressing to fundamental biology, Kaya immerses herself in learning and develops a keen interest in writing. Her drawing skills have become exceptional, and her knowledge of feathers, birds, and other local wildlife is unparalleled. As time passes, she and Tate grow closer, sharing their pasts and mourning their losses. Eventually, their love and care for each other lead them to begin a relationship. In Kaya's future, despite her willingness to start a physical relationship, Tate denies the offer, fearing for Kaya's safety and reputation in town. Meanwhile, social services search for Kaya to place her in a secure shelter. However, they collaborate with contractors to drain the swamp for hotel construction. Kaya's life appears idyllic until Tate delivers unexpected news. He's heading to college. Overwhelmed by the revelation, Kaya grapples with controlling her emotions. While she wishes for Tate to stay, their relationship takes an unexpected turn, as Tate aspires to pursue higher education and aims to be more than just a fisherman. Eventually, Kaya bids farewell to him with a heavy heart. Before parting ways, Tate offers her a list of publishers to whom she can submit her drawings and notes, providing her with an opportunity to generate additional income. Tate assures Kaya that he will always remember her and pledges to return in a month, specifically on the 4th of the next month, to enjoy fireworks together. Eventually, he departs for college, leaving Kaya alone once again. To summarize, the day of Tate's expected return has arrived, and Kaya eagerly anticipates seeing him. Wearing the dress gifted by Mabel, she spends the entire day at the beach waiting for him. Unfortunately, Tate never arrives, causing Kaya to feel betrayed and distressed. Later that night, she watches the fireworks alone and wakes up the next morning without Tate in sight. Kaya seeks solace once more in the swamp. Yet, it appears that trusting someone else may remain a challenge for her. In the present day, the sheriff investigating the crime scene contends that Chase's death was a murder, citing the destroyed fingerprints and tracks as evidence. However, Tom argues that the tracks may have been erased due to the high tide. Tom then directs the judge's attention to a crucial point. He reveals that the sheriff had submitted a written request to the U.S. Forest Service to repair the broken grates in the tower the year before, warning that the grates could cause severe injury or death if left untreated. Meanwhile, Kaya recalls the day in 1968 when she first met Chase and his family at the seashore. Before they have a chance to talk, Kaya leaves for her house, only to encounter yet another developer taking photos of the swamp. At Mabel's store, Mabel discloses that developers are acquiring land to build hotels and encourages Kaya to do whatever it takes to preserve her family's last memory. To determine if the place truly belongs to her, Kaya heads to a land registrar and encounters Chase midway. After accepting his offer for a date, Kaya visits the land registrar, who later confirms that her grandpa bought the house. However, she has to pay some back taxes and a daunting $800 if she wants to keep it. Left with no other means of income, Kaya chooses to submit her samples to the publishers Tate listed in the note, hoping to receive a response from them. Later, she joins Chase on a seaside date, but things take a turn for the worse when she starts to feel that the handsome man from the town views her as worthless. Realizing the mistake he made, Chase apologizes to Kaya and takes her to the fire tower to make amends. As time passes, the two begin to spend more time together. Kaya didn't know exactly how she felt about Chase, but she was no longer lonely, and that seemed enough for her. Back in court, it is time to discuss the red wool found on Chase's denim jacket the night he died. As the fibers from Kaya's cap and the jacket match exactly, Chase's lawyer claims she is involved in the murder. Tom quickly argues that the fibers could have been transferred onto Chase's clothes during any of their previous encounters, which could have taken place weeks or even months before the murder. In the past, Kaya receives a response from a publisher who is captivated by her manuscript and expresses keen interest in editing and publishing it as soon as possible. After Chase gets promoted in his job, he proposes to Kaya, and Chase brings her to a hotel where she has her first sexual experience. Here, Kaya gives him a rare and ornate shell necklace, which she had found on their first date at the seashore. However, when Chase died, Chase's mother claimed that the cops didn't find the necklace on his body, leading them to suspect that Kaya may have taken it before allegedly killing him. But despite a thorough search of her house, the police were unable to find the necklace, leaving the lawyer and Chase's mom with nothing to accuse her of without evidence. While Chase and Kaya are still together, Tate finally returns from college, only to find them happy as a couple. However, he quickly realizes that Chase is not suitable for Kaya when he makes inappropriate comments about her body in public and behind her back. Unable to tolerate it, Tate confronts him, and they get into a fight until Jumpin intervenes. Interestingly, Tate is wearing the same beanie whose wool was found on Chase's jacket. Later that night, Tate visits Kaya, who is furious with him for disappearing without a trace and not even writing back to let her know if he was alive or dead. Tate apologizes for leaving her. He believed that Kaya wouldn't be able to leave the marsh and adjust to a new life, which is why he didn't return. But he eventually realized that he couldn't live without her. Now that he's working at a new lab near town, he asks if there is any way Kaya could forgive him, but she says she doesn't know. Kaya's relationship with Chase is perfect, until one day she unexpectedly encounters him and his friend in town, who introduces herself as his fiancé. Kaya feels betrayed that Chase acts like nothing happened between them, so she retreats to her house. Chase arrives only minutes later, but before he can catch up to her, Kaya hides in the bushes. She is determined not to give him another opportunity to take advantage of her. Despite everything, there is still something good in Kaya's life. Her book gets published, giving her enough money to pay the taxes and get her house back. She renovates and repurchases the 310 acres of lagoons, marsh, and oak forests. One day, Jody, her brother, appears out of nowhere after he sees Kaya's book in the store. Jody has joined the army, and he reveals how their mother tried to reach out and take back her children. However, she received a threat from Jackson, warning her not to contact them again, or he would beat the children unrecognizably. Julianne had saved up money for lawyers and everything, but then she got sick and died of leukemia. Despite Kaya's achievements, Chase attempts to re-enter her life. Her repeated rejections cause him to lose control, leading to a sexual assault attempt. Kaya manages to escape by striking him with a rock, and she warns him not to bother her again, threatening to kill him. A fisherman overhears this death threat and later provides a statement against her in court. After the assault, Kaya feels unsafe, spending nights outside her house hiding in the bushes. When Tate checks on her, he is outraged to see the bruises on her face. Despite wanting to confront Chase, Kaya urges Tate to let it go and allow her to move on. Tate encourages her to attend a meeting with her publishers in Greenville and gives Kaya his red beanie. It remains unclear if Kaya kept the cap. If she did, it raises questions about how wool fibers from it could have ended up on Chase's jacket if their relationship had already ended. The following week, everyone sees Kaya leaving the town for her meeting in Greenville. She meets with the publishers over dinner, and it was later that night when Chase lost his life. However, the publisher claims they had another meeting with Kaya the next morning, and she seemed perfectly normal. Despite this, Chase's family lawyer discovers they stayed at separate hotels, alleging that Kaya stayed at a hotel close to the bus station. He claims she took an overnight bus trip to the town and killed Chase. On the last day of the trial, Jody, Mabel, Jumpin, and even Tate attend to show their support for Kaya. Based on what Chase's family lawyer claimed earlier, Tom makes one final effort to defend Kaya by stating that it's really impossible for her to leave town on the bus without anyone witnessing her. She would also have to find Chase in the middle of the night, lure him to the tower, kill him, wipe away all the evidence, and then, after completing all of these actions in less than an hour, catch the last bus back to Greenville. Tom claims this scenario doesn't make any sense. He then advises the judges to make decisions based on the facts presented in this courtroom, rather than on what people have said and thought about the Marsh girl for her entire life. While waiting for the judge's decision, Tom tells Jody and Tate that whatever the decision is, they must accept it. And then, the decision is made. Finally, the moment everyone has been waiting for arrives as the jury finds Kaya not guilty of first-degree murder in Chase's death. After the case is dismissed, Kaya and Tate reconcile and spend their lives together, enjoying the beauty of the marsh. Tate asks if she wants to marry him, and she thinks they already are. As time goes on, Kaya continues working on her books and is frequently visited by Jody's family. And just like that, the two continue to live in the marsh and grow older together. One day, while boating alone, Kaya sees the spirit of her mother, who has come to take her to the afterlife, Kaya die on the boat. One night, While going through her belongings, Tate discovers a book with a drawing of Chase. Then, he finds the missing seashell necklace with bloodstains on it. Tate realizes that Kaya truly did murder him. Tate tosses the necklace into the water, concealing Kaya's potential secret forever. See you in our next Film Flash. Thank you for watching.